This video is brought to you by Dr. Kristen R. Bromley's Guitar Method Book Series and Online Music Academy.
Hi, I'm Dr. Kristen Bromley. Welcome to my online academy. It's such a pleasure to be here helping you with playing the guitar. In this video, I'm going to expand on the different bar chord shapes that we can use to play chords along the fretboard. So we've been working a lot as of late in the lesson series on these shapes that I have up here on the board. These are the most common ones that we use when we're playing bar chords. But what's really cool is we can actually use other first position or open position chords to play bar chords along the fretboard. So there's some other options out there, and I'm going to go over those in this video. This video does accompany lesson 15 from my Chords and Harmony Books 1 and 2 method book. In that book, we're going to be on page 106. You'll see some shapes drawn there on page 106 that help expand, help you understand how we can do this. Alright, so sometimes you'll hear something called the caged system. C-A-G-E-D. That is a way of describing how you can see different chords and different even scale shapes along the fretboard. But basically what that comes down to is any chord that we can play in first position can be turned into a bar chord. So C-A-G-E-D of our open position first position chords, the only thing not mentioned there is F, and F is actually a bar chord. We never played an F chord with any open strings, so it's all the other ones. The F chord actually just comes out of the E chord shape. So we're just going to kind of walk through these though. So up here on the board, we are now, if you've been through the lesson series, and if you haven't checked out the previous videos, check them out on bar chords. We've learned that we can take our E major, E minor, or E7 chord shapes and turn them into bar chords that we can move all along the fretboard. So, for example, my E major, my E minor, and my E7 I have there in open position. But if I go and place my index finger and bar at the 6th fret, now if I use my E chord shape, I have a B flat major chord. If I use the minor one, I have B flat minor, and if I use the E7 one, I have B flat 7. So that's our 6th string forms that we use all the time. So we can take those E chord shapes and turn them into bar chords. And we know that we can do the same using the root on the 5th string. We can do the same with our A chord shapes. So if I put my bar across those top 5 strings at the 6th fret, I have an E flat. If I put the A major shape in front of it, I'm going to have E flat major. Or if I put the A minor shape in front of it, I'm going to have E flat minor. Or if I put the A7 shape in front of it, I'm going to have E flat 7. So we've done a lot with that. Let's look at some of the others, and you've got them drawn there on page 106. Some of the ones that work well. As long as you can finger it, then you can do it. So the C chord, we have our first position C chord. We can take that one and turn that into a bar chord just by simply putting a bar in front of it. Now you got to watch where the root is, and there with the diagrams you'll see the open circle is where the root is. So the root's going to be the lowest note of the chord. My pinky's on the root this time. So it's not about what finger my bar is in, it's wherever my pinky is. So this is now using that C chord shape with my pinky at the 5th fret. That's a D chord. If I put that pinky on a G, I have a G chord. If I put that on an F, I have an F chord. So the C chord can be turned into a bar chord, and that's a lovely sounding bar chord. So you got that one. You've also got the C7 chord we worked on. All we have to do is mute the top string, and we can play that C7, just move that up as well. So that's an option there. Now, as I mentioned with the F chord, it's actually coming out of the E chord shapes, but drawn there as sort of an example from what we'd be familiar with learning our F chord in first position, is that if we take the top 4 strings and stay off the low 2 strings, we get these nice little 4-string shapes. So with that F chord, it would become a G, for example, here. Now, we didn't learn the roots on the 4th string, so here's a trick to the roots on the 4th string. The roots on the 4th string are just 2 frets higher than what is happening on the 6th string. So if I have a G at the 3rd fret on the 6th string, I have a G 2 frets higher on the 4th string. So that's one way to start memorizing where those are. But back on page 95, when we got started with the bar chords, there's the diagram there if the 4th string is written out if you need help with that. But you can take that F chord, and you can play F minor, you'll see there, and you could actually play F7. So you can use those has little shapes that stay on the top 4 strings, and sometimes the top 4 strings is an ideal place to play those. If we go to the G chord, if you can play it, if you can finger it, then you can play a G bar chord. With this one, I'm going to play that G chord, and then my bar is 2 frets lower than where I have a finger, so it's quite a big stretch, but you have the G. My low 6th string is, with that ring finger, is where the root is. So right now I'm playing a B flat major chord with the G chord shape. So that's there. You could, of course, also play G7 if you can bar it. You can get it, if you can get it down, you can get that G7 happening, that G7 shape, and in this case it would be a B flat 7 shape. So that's an option there. And then the D chords. If we take those D chords and put a bar in front of them, though really all we're doing is reaching for the low string, you've got some there. So if I put my index finger on the F at the 3rd fret of the 4th string, and then I go and put that D shape in front of it, I now have an F major. Or I could have F7, or I could have F minor. So we just put our little D minor chord shape in front of that note, and we've got that. And you don't have to really bar with those, but you do have to put that root note down on the 4th string to get those shapes to work. So those ones are awesome. Any of the chords that we play in first position, if you can move them up and put a bar in front of it, they work as a bar chord. But those are the ones right there on page 106 that are classic ones that are used. So we don't necessarily use them as a go-to when we're strumming chords near as often, but if you're playing solo pieces, sometimes the voicings work better and you will end up playing those bar chords. And then of course there's times where we're strumming the chords where those are the ones we want. So if you want to practice with any of these, you can go back through the chord progressions, any of the chord progressions that we've done before, 1 through 30. You can jam along with the videos that were created to go with those chord progressions, and you can plug in these shapes instead of the shapes that we used, which were the E and A chord shapes. But that explains all the bar chords for major, minor, and dominant 7th chords that we really use very thoroughly on the guitar. These being the most common shapes, but of course I wanted to introduce you into some other shapes. And really, if you want to know more about chords beyond what this book teaches, the Theory and Technique book explodes how to play voicings all over the fretboard, so that's pretty awesome. Alright, so as we continue on into the next lesson in the book, lesson 16, we're going to be checking out power chords. Gotta love the power chords. And as I mentioned at the end of the last video, as we go forward, it's going to be so great because we're going to learn lots of different types of chords. So we'll learn the power chords, we'll learn suspended chords, we'll learn major 7th, minor major 7th, minor 7th, lots of different types of chords, 13th chords, 9th chords, sharp 11 chords, lots of chords to come. We'll learn the voicings in first position, or an option for some of these in first position, force the different voicings that we might actually use with the other open position chords we learned, and then of course we'll be learning movable shapes as well. So having learned the bar chords and how this works really opens up the guitar, really opens up your ability to be able to play lots of different styles. So it's going to be super awesome as we continue. Take care, and I'll see you again. Thanks for watching this video. If you found it helpful, please hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. And be sure to check out more great content. You can find more information about me and my products at KristenBromley.com. Take care.